I bought this one from the shop, but not anymore. It was the shop in Nobiga.
Oh yeah.
1, 2, 3!
Every time I mention diving in Singapore, people ask, why do you dive in Singapore?
The heck?
We went to explore the waters of Singapore and we wanted to show everyone what creatures are there beneath the surface.
Like lie on the deck and look down?
We started a couple of years back with a group of friends and divers whom I met while diving in Singapore.
Both Kevin and Dira are experienced underwater photographers. Dira works as a full-time editor. Kevin works in finance.
I'm going in. I'm not coming back, okay?
Keppel Bay is a small marina in the south of Singapore. It's very interesting to see how nature and humans can coexist even in a very small space.
It's a little bit murky, the waters in Singapore, compared to the rest of Southeast Asia. But once you get past that expectation, you see a lot of beautiful critters. When I started diving in Singapore and I talked to the people, first thing I noticed is they don't really know that you can dive in Singapore. That kind of motivated me to show what we are seeing. And then we did a lot of dives, took some pictures, brought it to the exhibition with coastal natives. Yeah, that was the actual motivation behind Singapore from below.
I've only heard like, oh, it's not good diving here. Why would you dive in Singapore? And then, you know, when I went, I was like surprised. Actually, you see a lot of stuff.
Obviously, it has a beautiful cityscape. Perfect balance between urban lifestyle and nature that everybody can see and love what's on land. So it's just natural, I think, for me to let people know that
Oh, you're still shooting?
actually the marine life underwater is as beautiful as the life that's above land, right?
And there was seahorse where we actually anchored. We prefers We are at Hantu West today to take some more photos for Singapore from below. Let's go!
You know, diving is the only thing you can do on Earth while you feel weightless and you're kind of like flying. So you can forget about all the stress you have at work in the past week and just relax in the water.
Also, I think the only nature experience where you can actually do get quite close to fish. You know, you don't have to go far and you can dive here in Singapore.
If you're into photography, I found it very interesting to dive every day Every time I went down, especially in Hantu or Pulau Jong, you always find a lot of critters. You always find a lot of rare species. So there's always something to shoot.
Cross-legged night stays hidden in the dark. Dream of climbing up a night bank, my struck in hand. Blazing silence in the night, my heart is like an iron.
Yeah, and I think that in addition to those small things, sometimes you see turtles, right? Or reef sharks, nurse sharks. We even saw dolphins. Like, yeah, like those pink Asiatic dolphins, yeah.
Cross-legged night stays hidden in the dark.
Eli,
Yeah.
so after you took it out, and I'm like,
That's why.
now I know.
Pulau Hantu is one of many islands what we have in Singapore. And these islands and waters holds a lot more stories and secrets that we know of. To know more about these islands and the life around it, we are meeting up with Firdaus from Orang Laut community and then hopefully learn more about the way around the water.
I hear a lot of stories about how Semakau was really beautiful. Clear waters, corals, pretty evident there as well. From Pulau community members would go out there fishing, spear fishing, putting up boo-boo traps, and because this was their livelihood, the sea gives them sustenance. They always refer to themselves as protectors or guardians of nature because they would understand the tides, the currents. It is who they are, and one of their core beliefs is to always refer to themselves as an islander, to be one with the sea. And water runs in their blood. There's a lot of these spaces that are no longer accessible. Development happened, you can see more ships around the area, and the water changed. There are a lot of voices who are speaking up for their culture, their roots, and their identities, and that is, to me, hopeful. I think it's not only our islanders who are recognizing this, but it's also you guys who are appreciating the spaces that we have. I really want to see a little bit more collaboration between these communities as well. The salvation and the protection of these spaces, not only through an environmental lens, but also through a cultural lens.
It doesn't need anyone. Alright, we are doing a cleanup dive in Lazarus Island with the Fossil Natives crew.
We're gonna pick things up. After we pick it up, we're gonna sort. After we sort, we're gonna record what we find, and then we're gonna report what we found. And what happens is that we then put all this information into a global repository, which is then used for nonprofits and policymakers to be able to see where hotspots are.
state of the ocean is, even though it's not as great as our parents' age or our grandparents' age, but there are pockets that is still very clean and beautiful and virgin. And the more people know about it, the more people would fall in love with it and help to protect it, right? So there's always hope.
There is hope for the ocean. I think a lot more people come to care about it, come to know on the warming ocean, what it does to corals. So the more knowledge is spread, the more action we're going to take. Like, for example, people will start doing probably beach cleanup, hopefully, or like cleanup dives. I see a lot more people are doing that, which is very hopeful.
Yeah, and I think knowledge is key. Like, just gotta teach people about the ocean, how beautiful it is.
You can see it's very resilient, like even after all this global warming, you can still see some parts or some patches of coral which are growing very beautifully. You don't really care about what you want to protect if you don't know what is in there. We have our own part, filming what we see and then show it to the rest of the world. I think we have a big part in this whole conservation space. What do you think is your role as a photographer when it comes to the ocean?
I think my role is like a storyteller. So I hope to influence people to want to go diving, giving them a little bit of information in terms of what I see or the state of the ocean.
We're all very fortunate that we can have time, we can have the funds necessary to go diving. But at the same time, let's use that opportunity to capture some images, tell a story, and get people more involved in protecting the ocean. Small little tweaks in their lifestyle every single day that can end up being a major impact.
There's definitely a correlation between more divers and marine protected areas.
Beyond all this MURK, there is a vibrant marine ecosystem thriving in our waters. It's really fascinating to witness the cultural and the natural heritage Singapore's waters embody. Our climate and ocean faces a lot of challenges. If each of us play our part, there's still a lot of hope.